Welcome to our behavior change project presentation over the reduction of problematic social media usage. My name is Lily and my group members are Brooke, JC, Kennedy, and Sam. Next. The original study was conducted by Dallery Stinson and was published by the Journal of Applied Behavior Analysis. The purpose of the study was to determine if a package intervention can reduce a person's daily social media usage. The operational definition of social media usage is websites and applications that focus on communication, community-based input, interaction, content sharing, and collaboration. The study had 9 participants. Next. For pre-baseline, participants shared screenshots of their daily social media usage for 7 days before starting and even knowing about the study. For baseline, participants shared screenshots of their daily social media usage for 7 days before starting the intervention. Intervention included the contingency management, automated notifications of application use, and the selection of alternative activities. Results indicated that the intervention deemed successful. All participants saw a decrease in total duration for social media usage. Next. Social media has recently become part of people's daily activities. Many of them spend hours each day on Messenger, Instagram, Facebook, and other popular social media apps. More than half the world uses social media as of January 2024, this being 62.3%. This issue is deeply personal for Americans, and people are especially concerned about the negative mental health impact of social media on our children. Many research studies have proven that social media usage is linked to mental illness. A number of studies have been conducted on the impacts of social media, and it has been indicated that the prolonged use of social media platforms such as Facebook may be related to negative signs and symptoms of depression, anxiety, and stress. Our group wants to know if graduate students that work full-time could produce the same or similar results of reducing social media usage with the same package intervention. Next. Pew Research reports have documented in great detail about the rise of social media and how it has affected such things as work, politics, and political deliberations, communication patterns around the globe, as well as the way people get and share information about health, news, civic life, parenting, dating, and even levels of stress. Their study took 10 years, starting in 2005 and ending in 2015, and it consisted of several different surveys given to a variety of demographics to find out who and what type of people use social media. 62,000 Americans participated in the survey. The survey asked yes or no questions about what social media apps a person uses. Each participant was asked to take the survey once a year for 10 years. Here are some of the statistics that was found in the study. Young adults ages 18 to 29 are most likely to use social media, with a whopping 90% of those who took the survey. Social media usage among people 65 and older has more than tripled since 2010. 68% of all women use social media, compared with 62% of all men. 78% of those living in the highest income households use social media, compared with 56% of those in the lowest income households. 65% of whites, 65% of Hispanics, and 56% of African Americans use social media, and people who live in rural areas are less likely to download social media apps. Next. Some researchers believe that social media can have positive effects on a person's well-being. People claim that social media have improved the way they socially interact. Others say that certain social media apps like Pinterest have helped them with creativity and open-mindedness. Janet Bowles et al. 2018 conducted an online survey of 116 participants to find out what aspects of social media was considered good for a person. Participants were given a multiple-choice questionnaire that asked 2 basic questions about social media usage. Those questions being, how many minutes per day do you use social media, and why do you use social media? They also told participants to use an inspirational scale to see if anyone has ever felt moved, touched, emotional, or inspired while consuming different types of social media. The types of social media that you could rate were Instagram, Snapchat, Facebook, Pinterest, YouTube, Twitter, Tumblr, Google+, and Reddit. Answer options were assessed on a 6-point scale with the following anchor points: never, seldom, once or twice a week, a few times a week, almost every day, at least once a day. Time spent on social media had nothing to do with any positive or emotional effects on a person, but the type of social media consumed did. People felt more inspired or emotional on Pinterest and YouTube rather than Instagram. The content people consume, rather than the sole amount people spend on social media, is important to consider when making inferences about its effects on well-being.
Social media has become a massive part of young people's lives, so they use it mostly for entertainment and communication purposes. Because of this, it has potential to have both positive and negative effects on these individuals. A decline in mental health is one of the side effects stemming from the social media overuse. In the study, they had participants aged 18 to 24. These individuals were selected by using simple random sampling on social media platforms such as Facebook and Twitter. Within this study, the researchers had the participants quantify on a scale of 1 to 10 their top 10 favorite features about social media. When bringing the scores together to get the average score, the likes, comments, and followers got the highest rating of 7.29. Along with this, the findings of the study show that the feature with the most significant effect on mental health is the likes, comments, and followers. The data suggests that individuals who are seeking the validation and social esteem through social media may be more prone to experiencing stress, depression, and anxiety. The second and third rankings of social media sharing and consuming and browsing posts were also identified as having significant effect on mental health. Next. The next article I'll discuss not only wants to know how much time the participants spend online, but also how they spend that time. So they conducted a survey to assess the frequency of social media usage that included questions about age, gender, student status, race, current annual household income, and highest level of education. The participants were also asked how many Facebook friends they had at the time of data collection, how many minutes a day they spend on social media in 10-minute increments, 1 meaning 0 to 10 minutes, 2 meaning 11 to 20, and etc. How often they visited any social networking site, if the social media use was part of their daily routine, and which days of the week they typically use social media. When they scored the survey, the use of social media usage for the low frequency group had approximately 21 to 30 minutes a day, and 5 out of 15 of the social networking sites used. The medium frequency group had less frequent social media a day, lower reported daily usage, and lower number of social networking sites used, and fewer days in a week at 4 out of 7 days. The high frequency group had the highest average of minutes of use a day at approximately 61 to 70 minutes a day, the highest average score of daily usage, and the highest mean rate of social media usage at 5, meaning several times a day. Next, they measured the degree of engagement. To measure this, they used 10 items adapted from the Pew Research Center. The 10 items were how often they commented on their friends' post, shared videos, shared pictures, updated their status, sent other users private messages through social media, removed their name from pictures they were tagged in, deleted comments friends made, posted content they later regretted sharing, blocked people, and deleted people from their friends list. Besides sending other users private messages through social media, which was a scoring system of 1 to 5, every other question was answered with a scoring system of 0, meaning never, and 3, meaning daily. The findings from this article showed that a minimally engaged profile was associated with the lowest mean value of commenting on friends' posts, sharing status updates, and sharing videos and photos. A moderately engaged profile has substantially lower mean values for sharing videos compared to the highly engaged profile. The highly engaged profile was associated with the highest mean rate of commenting on friends' posts, sharing videos, pictures, and status updates, and sending private messages. Next. The last article I found investigated the relations of social media addictions to mental health and the academic performance in college students, and examined the role of self-esteem as a potential mediator for the relations. A survey method was used in which participants reported their addiction to social media, as well as their mental health, academic performance, and self-esteem. To score their social media addiction, it was measured using the 6-item Bergen Social Media Addiction Scale, which is a 5-point scale. 41.4% of the participants scored 3 or above on at least 4 out of the 6 items. 9.9% scored 3 or above on all 6 items, and 14.7% of the participants could be classified as having social media addiction, whose composite score was above 18 and who scored 3 or above on at least 4 of the 6 items. Mental health was measured by a 20-item questionnaire, with subcategories of depression, anxiety, and a sense of adequacy. Higher scores in this questionnaire showed better mental health. Academic performance was ranked by self-rating comparative to their peers. Self-esteem was measured using the 10-item self-esteem scale, with scores on a 4-point scale, and higher scores on this also meant better self-esteem. The results showed partial correlations between social media addiction, mental health, academic performance, and self-esteem. Both pairings alone between self-esteem and mental health and academic performance and mental health were also significantly correlated.
So some of the background information on the study we replicated: social media use can become problematic when it begins to interfere with relationships, work, school, and sleep. We tested the daily duration of social media usage and used a common iPhone app within settings to configure the duration of social media use in order to apply an intervention that supports reducing the use of social media. The participants all scored a 30 to 49 on their internet addiction test, showing there was a mild addiction to social media pre-intervention. The intervention used contingency management, notifications of application use, and each member selecting alternative activities. The intervention was highly effective at reducing the daily duration of the use of social media to goal levels or even below the goal for all participants. Next. In this study, we evaluated scores for pre and post intervention on the internet addiction test that has been modified to assess social media use. Specific tests were made by a researcher who goes by Young in 2009. This test includes 20 questions that require a response on a 5-point Likert type scale. Young's instructions are: after reading each statement carefully based upon the 5-point Likert scale, please select the response 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5, which best describes you. If two choices seem to apply equally well, circle the choice that best represents how you are most of the time during the past month. Be sure to read all of the statements carefully before making your choice. The statements refer to offline situations or actions unless otherwise specified. Next. On this slide, we have our internet addiction test from pre-intervention to post-intervention. The conclusion we can make from this table is that all of our scores decreased after the intervention was introduced in the study. Next. Next, we took a behavior allocation survey, which includes a list of common activities, and we simply asked participants to report daily duration spent engaged in those activities. The behavior allocation survey also contains an other section where participants were asked to report activities that they engaged in that were not specifically listed and for how long they engaged in those activities. The behavior allocation survey was given during the baseline phase and then repeated a second time within the intervention phase. After the completion of the second survey, we averaged those scores. A positive score shows that the participant engaged in the activities for a longer duration in the intervention phase than they did in baseline. Next.
The study was conducted with the 5 of us as participants, and we range in age from 22 to 28 years old. After taking Young's internet addiction test that JC just mentioned, we all identified as at least moderately addicted to the internet or social media usage in this instance. During the course of the study, we met weekly via FaceTime, as we live in various geographical locations and time zones. To participate in the study, we each had the required materials, an iPhone and relevant applications, reliable internet access, and access to the shared Google Drive folder. When establishing what we were measuring, the group decided on an operational definition for social media usage, which is the use of any website or application where individuals can post or send messages, images, and videos to others electronically, excluding sites or applications primarily used for one-to-one messaging. This resulted in us including data for applications such as Facebook and TikTok, but not iMessage or FaceTime. To collect the data relevant to the study, we utilized the iPhone Screen Time application to sum the duration of social media usage for included applications from the 24-hour period of the day before. Data was only collected Tuesday through Saturday. Once the time of the included applications was totaled, we documented the data in our Google Drive folder and sent a screenshot to the group iMessage. For the baseline phase, we collected 10 days of data using the previously described data collection method. No app limits were turned on at this time, During baseline collection, all participants took the internet addiction test and behavior allocation survey that could serve as additional outcome measures pre and post-treatment. From the baseline data, each participant then found their average duration of social media usage and determined a goal for the intervention phase by selecting a duration below the average from baseline. To begin intervention, participants turned on app limits on their phone and set a total duration cap across the included applications. If and when we hit the app limit, a notification would appear, which would give us the option to close the app immediately, ignore the limit for 15 minutes, or ignore the limit for the day. 2 of us participated in a return to baseline withdrawal. That was JC and myself. After stable data was reached during intervention to determine if the app limits were truly exhibiting control over the behavior. For this, we turned app limits off and continued to collect data as previously described. To collect inter-observer agreement, we established the iPhone as kind of a primary observer, with each of us serving as a secondary observer. To do this, we personally documented times we spent on each application on pre-selected dates for IOA, summed the total minutes that we had collected, and compared our calculation to the total reported by the Screen Time app. Overall, we maintained a high IOA average of at least 96% across all phases and all participants. For treatment and integrity, we submitted daily screenshots of our social media tab through the Screen Time app. We also submitted screenshots to one another when turning on and off app limits to maintain the highest degree of fidelity to the treatment, and this resulted in 100% treatment integrity across all phases. The results can be clearly seen here across our no withdrawal group. When app limits were implemented, the average duration of social media usage for each participant decreased drastically, and group members were able to stay at or below the predetermined goal throughout the entirety of treatment. Similarly, the results reflected within our withdrawal group are clear. With the implementation of app limits, average duration of social media usage decreased, and participants stayed at or below their predetermined goal for a majority of their treatment. When app limits were turned off for a simulated return to baseline, social media use skyrocketed for both withdrawal participants, which further proves the control of the intervention.
To conclude our replication, our group was able to address their social media usage. The package intervention of using contingency management, application limits, and alternative activities really showed that each individual's social media use declined when the restrictions were put into place during the intervention phase. The results show change among every condition through each participant. When in baseline, the duration time for social media usage was high, and when in the intervention phase, the data showed stability and was able to stay just below or on each of our goal duration times. There was only a few instances in which our duration went 1 or 2 minutes above our goal duration time. When addressing withdrawal and going back to baseline, the individual's use of social media began to increase for those who did not partake in withdrawal, having no intervention, which demonstrates that there is effectiveness on the intervention that was at hand. There is great variability within each day of the duration spent using social media. When the participants of this study had sick days off work or long weekends due to holidays, there was a rise in the duration of time spent on social media compared to those days that the participants were busy at work or working on major projects for school. The duration of social media usage for the day would decrease. This allowed for great variability within the data points on every participant's graph.
Throughout the study, our group came across many limitations that would affect our findings. First, we had a small sample size that consisted of only female participants aged between 22 and 28 years old who were accessing similar social media platforms on an iPhone. Due to this, our findings may not reflect a broader demographic who would also engage in problematic social media use. Next, we had difficult time finding an application capable of both tracking and blocking social media usage without any additional cost. We were able to find applications capable of doing this, but they came at a subscription fee that ranged anywhere from $15 per month to $150 per year. For us, this was a cost all of us were not able to afford, so the iPhone's internal tracking system was the best option. Next, Throughout the process, we were each responsible for manually documenting our social media usage in the Notes app of our phone. We did this to compare that data to the iPhone's internal system to form IOA. When tracking the data manually, it became challenging to accurately track instances that were brief or frequent in nature. This often led to instances in data accuracy not being completely accurate when trying to compare. The process was also not easy, so it became aversive for many of us. Finally, changes in environment played a big role in social media usage for many. We were all using our phones throughout the day, which included in and outside of work. On most work days, myself and others were often so busy we did not have a lot of time to spend on social media apps. But on the flip side, this also means for some of us, the presence of work cancellations due to inclement weather or sickness would affect the amount of time we had to occupy during the day. This would lead to spikes in social media usage that would otherwise not be present. Next.